I'll have to see if anybody gets on to join me. I'm pretty sure I made it public, although it's been a long day. I think I need to get it a little bit closer. I don't see anybody on here but me. So, oh, okay. It's just telling me that I'm live, so I'm assuming that you're just getting the message that I'm live as well. So, let's see what happens. It's been a bit of a long day and a bit of a long week. So I'm just going to sit here and wait because as of right now, I'm talking to myself and one other person. Hi, whoever got in, who's joined me so far? Okay, I think we'll wait until a few more people come in and just let me know if there's anything specific you want to talk about. So I'm just going to hang in there for a little bit. Oh, Carol, hi. Nice to see you here. Is there anything special you'd like to talk about tonight? I know I've had a really long day with lots of fragmented parts to it, but it was productive. So all in all, it was good. Okay, somebody else came on as well. At least I know I got the thing set up right. I wish I could do the horizontal, but I still can't figure it out on my phone. And I'm just not in a place where I want to deal with getting a new phone right at the moment. Oh, I feel as if... Sorry about that. Okay, so far it's just the three of us. We'll see what happened. I don't know if either of you saw that I did put out a video today. Carol, I honestly feel as if somebody winds me up every morning and I just keep going until the wind up runs out. And then I go to bed. Hi, Cheryl. And then I go to bed and do the same thing again the next morning. It's just this endless loop of, okay, not sure what that's about. I have this endless loop of constantly having to be on the move and just take care of whatever it is. Okay, it's going to be that kind of a night here. Where is Sheila when I need her? Yeah, so it has been crazy busy. It has been exhausting. And I feel as if, I mean, during this period of time, since my last surgery, it's been a little bit harder to kind of get back the level of my strength to be able to do as much as I did before. And I think a lot of it is psychological as well. It's just tiring. A lot of it is really tiring. I just wish that I could get out of here and into a smaller place. I think that that would make life easier. It would be funny if it doesn't, and it's just my impression that it's going to, but I have a feeling it might. I did mention earlier that I thought maybe as I'm working on the house room by room to try to get it ready, that I might take you along with me looking into the rooms. And I know they still have too much stuff in them. And I, as a stager and certainly as a realtor, know a lot better about the way that it needs to be in order to sell quickly and to sell for a price that I need to get to be able to move on. So, yeah, but it's when you do it with your own place, it's a lot harder than trying to do it for somebody else, because you can be dispassionate when it's somebody else's place. You can walk in and say, put that away. Just don't. Oh, thank you so much. Just put it away. I remember, oh God, I'm going blank on her name, the financial person who used to have a TV show, and I can't think of her name. I can see her face in front of me. Short hair, light hair, middle-aged. I shouldn't say that. She always used to say, just because you own something doesn't mean it has to be on display. And isn't that ever the truth? But the truth is, as Susie Orman, thank you so much. That's exactly it. So, but it goes even deeper than that. I have come to the point where I say to myself, you know, I was watching something, hi. I was watching some, I think it was on Facebook or it was a YouTube thing just this morning or yesterday. And it was talking about that, about getting rid of stuff and really understanding that this stuff that we associate with memories, that's not where the memories live. They live within us. We can really take a picture of it. We can do something practical, and we don't have to keep the stuff forever. But I'm finding it so hard. And one of the things that I read also, it's true, if you keep trying to find a place for the stuff that's too much, you're just creating more stuff that's too much. So you really have to deal with it realistically and say, okay, it's time, it's got to go. So that's the stage that I'm at right now, and I'm really trying to do it piece by piece by piece. Some of the stuff I have put up on Facebook Marketplace, and I have found that to be a really good resource for local sales, because they just come to your place, they take the stuff, and you're finished with it. Somebody had mentioned today online, and it sounds a little scary to me. They suggested that you do something that they call a porch pickup, because if you do that, people, you put the item out, they just come to pick it up, and then you tell them to leave the money wherever they're going to leave it. And the people who wrote it said that they in fact do leave it. No, I'm sorry, I don't do that. I thank you for coming to visit, but no, I don't do that. So anyway, I really would like to give it a try. I would like to say that I would like to trust whoever might do it. And there was one person who said she's been doing it for 10 years, and that I think she said she lost $10 once in the whole thing. So I think it might be a really good way to go. And I might give that a try, but I definitely need to list more things. The problem is, it's like you have so many hours in the day and so many things to do. What takes priority? And you have to make a determination about what does that. It's an ongoing conversation that I have with my son, who has definitely taken on the role of parent, as I think often our children do when they think that we're a little past the point of understanding. And where they think that they certainly understand the way the world works a lot better than we do, and that we're probably losing our marbles along the way. I can't completely disagree with him. I think I've seen a few of my marbles rolling down the street, but I find it amusing when he sits and tries to patiently tell me the way to make my life work. And sometimes it just makes me feel that much more stressed, because I feel as if I'm so fragmented anyway that it's really, really hard to try to take on any more responsibility. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a good thing. I think I definitely need to, I really need to have somebody handling all this stuff that's coming up here that is not necessarily what we want in this live. I think, I don't know, did any of you see the earlier video that I put out today? The one where I had gone to, it was just kind of a ride along with me for my day as I had to accomplish the things that I did. And I got quite a bit of stuff done. I really did. I am trying to, you did, okay. I'm just trying to put too many things into one day. I did not go out to Uber today, but I'm gonna have to go back to that tomorrow. Tomorrow I do get to have that respite. Lunchtime, I'm going out to lunch with the girls. It's, oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm so looking forward to using those vegetables and herbs that I got from my friend, my friendly visitor. And yeah, oh, okay. I just wanted to take you along for that. And I have to tell you, the stuff that she gave me is so fresh and so nice that I'm looking forward to. I want to make the salad and I want to make a couple of other things to go along with it. I had asked her if she wanted any when I make it, and she said no because she's getting ready to leave. Kind of getting back to that, I think this thing that they started, whether it was Meals on Wheels or Catholic Charities or a combination thereof, this whole concept of a friendly visitor is a wonderful thing for people who are really stuck at home or spend a lot of time alone. Because I think if you, especially when you have problems, when your health is compromised, when you have other issues that you're dealing with that make life difficult, if you have too much time completely on your own, it really it really is terrible, and it makes life so difficult that having another person come to visit and spend time with you and not think about all the pressing things in your life gives you a little bit of a respite, and I think it's really important. I also think that the more you can do something to make the cucumber salad, oh, please don't be sorry, June, happy to have you here. I like the cucumber salad with a creamy dressing, so I tend to do the sour cream. I've done the sour cream with lemon. They also do sour cream with mayonnaise, and I'm going to try it that way. They do it with vinegar, but and I'm gonna try it a little bit different way. The important thing, and the thing I think I missed the last time, was I did not wait and salt the cucumber first, sour cream and dill. With the fresh dill that I got today from my friendly visitor, I think is going to make it absolutely delicious. I also have some fresh garlic, so I'm going to mince a little bit of garlic into it as well. And I think sliced onions, that's what I'm doing as well. The sliced red onions. And yeah, essentially that's it, just with whatever seasoning you want to put into it. But it's really important to just salt it and then let it sit for about 25 minutes or a half hour so that a lot of the excess moisture comes out. You can then just pour it off, and you can then add your sour cream and the whole mixture to it. So it will keep the dressing from separating and from getting too watery. So that part of it, I'll show you when I make it, and we'll see how it comes out. I can't promise anything, but I'm gonna do that. You scrape out the seeds. Yeah, I think when it is a cucumber that has a lot of seeds, that's a good idea. And I saw a guy who scraped out the seeds and then he didn't slice them the way I typically see, the very thin slice. He did it in like quarter segments, so he cut it up into quarters and then sliced it. And it became like crescent shape because it now no longer had the seeds. And he said it was delicious. So, of course, looking at it when you don't taste it, you don't know. But I think it's certainly worth a try. She also gave me those little cherry tomatoes. So I was trying to decide whether I should add the cherry tomatoes to that, but that would change the taste. So I may just make a separate salad with that. And I think with that, I might make a spinach salad with some walnuts, cherry tomatoes, maybe some raspberries in there. Again, the sliced onion. And what else can I put in there? That's, that would make that really tasty. So I'm going to see, but I'm loving all that stuff, and I'm finding that when I have things at the ready, that I tend to eat better because I do eat a lot of food that's not really good for me when I'm in a hurry. When I have not had the time or the wherewithal, thanks. I haven't had the time or the wherewithal to really cook or prepare anything when I'm on the run all the time. But I'm trying to balance the whole thing out, trying to set aside time to work on the house, set aside time to work on me, and to do the things that I have to do. I have not started physical therapy yet outside, but I want to do that. I also made an appointment for Friday to go to the podiatrist because the last time I went was the day before my surgery. And believe it or not, that's going to be 4 months in a couple of days. It's hard to believe. I went in April 18th. Time goes by so fast. We really have to learn to make the most of the time we have and to enjoy every bit of it as much as we can. I know lately I've been watching a lot of videos on tiny house living. Have any of you looked at any of that stuff? I'm not sure I could go that route. I think I'd like to see a twice the size of a tiny home tiny in order to make it work for me. But I think the concept of it is so great. And I saw two of them where the people designed their own. Exactly. Yes, the older we get. And there's just so much that you sometimes have to do. I don't know, Carol, if I'm planning to locate near David. The temptation would be enormous if I thought David would be around, but he's all over the place. David spends part of his time in Arizona, part of his time in California. And in between all of that, he travels. And his kids are at the stage now where I'm not sure what they're going to do. The last thing I would want to do is to go out there to be with him and have him move someplace else. I have that as a visual. So I think I'm probably better off staying here where I have friends, although that's another issue because the older we get, the greater the chance of losing our friends. We can lose them to dementia. We can lose them to passing on. We can lose them to them needing to make a move based upon their living situation. And our world gets smaller and smaller and smaller unless we do something actively to try to change that in whatever way we can. We need to really reach out. There was another thing that I had seen. I'm thinking it was on Facebook, and I think I shared it. It was this wonderful concept of just sharing what you have with other people in need, whether it is, let's say you live in a complex or you live in a place where other people live, whether it's an apartment situation or a place where the other people live in close proximity, a shopping cart that you could loan somebody if they need to go get food. If they can't afford to get it, if you have extra food or if you cooked something and you have extra stuff, sharing it. And then it showed how the people in this situation each wound up doing something for somebody else, and how it was such a wonderful thing that helped everybody out, made everybody's life better, and gave them something to look forward to. So I think so many of those types of things would make a difference. June, I agree with you. I love the tiny house concept. I don't know if I could do the teeny tiny. I certainly could not do a kitchen that doesn't have decent cabinet space. I wonder if there's a category for tiny house hoarding where you could just have a little too much. But no, all kidding aside, this is something that I need to really work on. I definitely need less space. There's no question. Why should I have to do that much work? I, this is such a silly thing to say, but it is so much easier to clean a clean place than it is when it's messy to try to keep on top of it, because you're constantly going over the same things over and over and over again, and you're making your life so much harder. I remember my Aunt Yetta, my mother's sister. She was an active consumer of everything for as long as I can remember. My aunt had been married, but her husband, he had some breathing problems and he needed a different kind of climate, and it was recommended that he move out to the West Coast. She said she could never leave her family, all of whom were in the New York area. So she and he wound up getting divorced and she stayed in New York. For the rest of her life, she never, yeah, I think they do, June. I think they do have companies that design them within the framework of what they do. But I've seen some that were designed. I'll have some links somewhere. I'll find a place to put it. I saw a couple of them that were absolutely stunning and just felt wonderful, at least to me. I think incorporating a lot of the outdoor space as well helps. All right, to get back to my aunt, she was a great consumer of everything. She had her belief system, I truly think, was always if a little is good, a lot is better. That came to her cooking. She cooked for an army. She lived alone, but she always prepared things for all the rest of us. She, I remember they used to have street peddlers in Manhattan. She worked in Manhattan in the garment district. And she would buy 12 skirts. They were all different sizes. So she would come home and she would kind of have the skirts and you would take a look at it. If you found something you liked and it happened to be your size, there, have it. It was just who she was. It was her way of fulfilling herself. She was a very clean, very neat person who was a wonderful cook. And she was a really good person, except she and my mother's brother's wife, so her sister-in-law, they were like oil and water. They were absolutely oil and water. And we all lived at one time in a 4-family house. And there were screaming fights in the hallway on occasion. Didn't happen that often, but it was dreadful when it happened. And it was those two because they were both strong women and they would fight. But aside from that, Yetta was a very giving person. She would give you the shirt off her back. She just was like that. But as she got older, and when I say older, I mean really much older, she no longer had that need to consume things. She no longer had the need to to keep bringing things into the house. And I think along with that came a kind of peace. She finally achieved some kind of peace about that. She was with me until the last couple of years of her life. Well, not for the whole time. After my mother died in 1986, she went down to Florida to live with her brother because he was afraid that I would kick her out, which never would have happened. But she lived with him, and then he died. And she still stayed down there in his place for a while. But then she came up and she wound up living with me until she had to go to the hospital. She had a pacemaker. I may have told you the story. She had a pacemaker that one day, it was on a holiday weekend, it was Labor Day weekend. She called me into her room and she said she thought she had a problem. And she lifted her shirt and showed me there was an opening from her body and the pacemaker was falling out. And she kept pushing it back in. I literally, I froze when I saw it. I was terrified, but I didn't want her to see that I was terrified. But I said to her, I'm going to take you over to the hospital and let's have them check it out in the emergency room, because I knew that had to be terrible. I mean, was her heart involved? And, with her pushing it back in her body, whatever bacteria might be on her hands or whatever, it was terrifying. That was actually the beginning of the end for her, because she went into the hospital. It was terrifying. She went into the hospital, the emergency room. They took her into the hospital. They said that they had to do surgery on her. I think they did. They were very concerned that she would have an infection that would reach her heart. And I remember that one night I was her healthcare proxy, and they had said to me, did I want to initiate a DNR on her? And that was something I could not take the responsibility of doing. I knew how much she wanted to live. I could not sleep the whole night. I was terrified for her. They didn't know if she was going to make it through the night, so I was so frightened, and I said to them, no, you have to resuscitate her if anything happens, because I could not make the decision for her. She needed to make that decision for herself, and I didn't want to take away any moment of the life that she might have. So thank God it all turned around. By the next day, she was better, and she wound up being in the hospital for a little while, and then they put her into a nursing home for rehab. And during the period of time that she was in for rehab, she essentially gave up, because she didn't do the physical therapy, or she didn't try to get up. She didn't try to walk. She didn't try any of that. And there was no way that I could take her home with me. She had been living with me for a couple of years at that point. I couldn't take her home with me if she couldn't take care of herself on some level. I worked, and I had to work. So she was in a nursing home then for a couple of years. I constantly fought with them. They wanted to take her, if anything went wrong, they wanted to take her to a local hospital that I hated with a passion. And I told them they could not send her to that hospital. They had to call me if anything happened to her, and then I would tell them what to do. And I wound up, hi Sandy, I wound up twice making sure that they sent her to St. Francis, which is an excellent cardiac hospital here. And it's one of the top hospitals in the country. So she did relatively well with that within the framework of being in a nursing home. And I used to go to visit her about 3 times a week. I couldn't do more than that because I had to work and do everything. And oh God, they both have gallstones? Wow, that can't be fun. So anyway, Yetta wound up staying in the nursing home until at the very last time something had happened, and I swear they made sure that they did not call me because they knew I would not let them send her to the hospital that they did send her to. And when they did, within a very short period of time, she died there, and I believe with all of my heart and all of my brain power that that they helped her cross that divide. When I went to visit her, it was November, I believe. It was cold out, and they had the window wide open in her room. They had her blanket pulled down, and she was wet. She was wet. She had urinated on herself. They didn't change her. I closed the window. I made them do something. I went out. When I came back, I don't know, maybe a half hour later, an hour later, the window was wide open again. The sheets were down again. And it was a horrible, horrible experience, horrible time. Okay, now that I finished that story, I can take a look at your story, Sandy. Carrie needs surgery soon, but busy packing grandson off for Monday for college. And the other one in New York is whining. Well, yeah, it was a horrible time and a horrible end for my aunt. And I really felt terrible. It took me a very long time to be able to get over the guilt, even though I knew I had done the best I possibly could for her. And I mean, a lot of people said that I did more for her than a lot of people would have done for their own parents. But to me, the way I was brought up, family is family. And you just, if somebody needs something, you do it. I mean, I was the kind of person, my dear friend Mary always used to call me the Pied Piper and the Mother Teresa of the canine set, because I used to save dogs when I would see them in the street and they had no home, or there was something that I could do. So certainly for a family member or a very close friend, it seems to me that you have to be there for each other. Because in the end, what is any of this about if it isn't about the relationships that we form and the people that we can help along the way? I think so. I think that's what life is about in the end. So it is what it is. I'm going to get back for a minute to this friendly visitor thing. I don't know if any of you are aware of any of that in your city. Yeah, I think, Barbara, it's the truth. Nothing else matters. Everything else is transitory. And as they say, when you die, what do you take with you except the love that you shared with other people on this planet? family first. Absolutely. And you want, when there are estrangements in families, it makes it particularly hard. And when there are estranged, right, your money. When there are difficulties like that, I think they really need to get resolved whenever it's practical or whenever it makes sense. I mean, there are certainly circumstances in which you don't want to rectify a relationship or scotch tape it back together again because it wasn't good in the first place, because maybe it's toxic. Maybe there are some families where there's jealousy among family members and they really don't have the best of intentions for each other. Personally, I find that so hard to understand because I feel, I mean, I've been very, very lucky that way in my life, that I always felt loved. And I always felt that everybody in the whole group was loved, except those two aunts. Oh, I see. Sandy says, yeah, money buried in the lining of her casket in case she has to pay her own way. That's funny. Yeah, well, don't you remember, Sandy, when you were young and they would tell you to make sure you had some money in your purse just in case that date didn't work out and you had to come home on your own? So fortunately, I never had to use that, but it was always a good idea to have that mad money. So yeah, but I'm going to get back to that that visiting neighborly visitor, visiting neighbors. Yeah, right. Sandy says she never had a date. I think if such a thing does not exist where you live, you might want to suggest it to somebody, whether in a church group or whether in something like Catholic Charities or a Meals on Wheels group or anything, because it is such a significant thing. It's so important to have contact with the outside world. I think people live longer when they have connections to the outside world, because as the world grows smaller and smaller, there's nothing left to live for, and that's really sad. So I think it's a great thing. For me, if I get to the point where I can survive financially and where I can make my world work, then I certainly would love to try to do it myself. I would love to be that person for somebody else. I know Mary, my friendly visitor, you live for the Amazon delivery guy. Sandy, I bet there are a lot of people who do. I think there's no doubt that that guy is a pretty busy guy. Have to tell you, when I'm out there Ubering, they're always on the block. Amazon is always out there delivering. It is amazing to me. I'm also amazed by some of the delivery people, because I get to see it on my Ring doorbell. So they will come up the stairs and they'll get almost to the top and then they'll throw the package. Now, I've had some really delicate things delivered. I mean, a thermometer. I had, I got one of those digital thermometers, and I had a little bit of camera equipment that is delicate stuff. You don't toss it. I mean, here it is. They take care of it everywhere along the way, and the last minute it gets tossed, and it makes no sense to me. But tiny house community, right? Let's get back to that. Yeah, actually, a tiny house community is a really great idea. I think they have it in Texas. I think there were a couple of them. I had seen some videos. There was one woman, I could have moved right into her tiny home. It was lovely. It really was lovely. It felt very open. She had what felt to me like a halfway normal kitchen. I could not do a kitchen with one burner. I don't even know if I could do two burners. Now, not that I'm such a huge cook all the time, but yeah, maybe in Florida. But, I think being in a community like that with a lot of other people having the same feelings about space and community and wanting similar things out of life at whatever stage they're at is a really great idea. I know they don't have it in a lot of places. Tennessee has a community. I think it's a really good, I think the Northwest, I don't remember if it's Oregon, Washington, Northern California, I don't remember, but they've got it there. They had one community and they were starting a second one. I don't think they have it around here. I really don't. But there are things that people have to be aware of as well. I was watching a video from a couple who had bought, oh, they have them in North Carolina? Yeah, I just think it's such a great idea. They also had some place down south, they also had a community where everybody had their own space. Oh, no, 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 I would need a flushing toilet too. Isn't that an option for a flushing toilet? To hook it up to something? No? I know they have things other than composting toilets, but no, I wouldn't. No, 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 no. I have no desire to have that, as they say, floating around pots. Yeah, right. But they have this other concept. I don't think it took off that well, though. I know the composting. No, I could never do that. But they had this community where everybody had their own living space, but they had a shared, well, they had their own bedrooms and that kind of thing, but they had the shared living space, shared kitchen and shared living room, I believe, or dining room or something like that. And a number of people at the time had said that they really loved that idea of that kind of community living. The interesting thing is my friend Linda, for years, always talked to me. She wanted to buy a huge piece of property someplace upstate. Okay. Um, okay, I got distracted. Sandy just said in Greece you can't use toilet paper in the toilet. Where else would you use it? Or is it that it's too thick or the toilets just don't flush? I'm not sure I want to know. But anyway, Linda had wanted that, and she wanted all of her friends to come move there and again have that same kind of a concept. Sadly, she did not live to see that, but interesting. It's an interesting thought. But I do think there is some real value in the tiny house idea. I think that, I don't know if you've ever seen the thing. Oh, okay. I don't know if you've ever seen the thing, this Boxable, where they have units that can be put together so you can pretty much have the size place you want. You can have a single level, you can have a two-story, and they're made as pods. And Elon Musk is actually involved or was planning to be involved. I'm not sure if it actually evolved to that stage, but I know it was part of his plan. But it was really interesting, and some of the stuff looked really nice. And that was another thing where I said, I really think I could live in something like that. But I don't know. It's all different. It's hard to know. My friend Jackie is always saying, I mean, now it's just her in her home with her one son, and they don't really need all that space either, but she can't imagine herself moving into a smaller place. Yeah, that pod house concept is really interesting. If you haven't seen it, do take a look at it. Look at any videos that mention Boxable. And yeah, water, electric, trash, absolutely. There is all of that that has to be dealt with. And of course, if you're in a tiny house, it's where do you put it? Of course, if you do have a community, then you're renting, you're leasing the land. But that's not cheap. A lot of these communities, just to lease the land, it can be 650 or 750 or something like that. So it can be really a bit pricier than you anticipate that it might be. And oh, one of the things I was started to tell you was that there was a couple that had bought a home and they were very happy about it, but they came to a point where they discovered that the company, I agree with you, Joan, definitely as you get older, the less stuff you need to make you happy. They found out that, I don't know I'm not sure the pronunciation of the wrap that they use on houses, whether it is, Tivik or Tyvek. I think it's Tivik, I'm not sure. But you have to have some kind of wrap around this structure before it's sided or whatever, because if you have water infiltration, you have all kinds of issues. And they had issues where, I mean, you can have mold, you can have rust, and lots of problems that can wind up costing a great deal of money at the back end. So it's really important to know how they're building it and if it's built to code. And of course, code is different depending upon what state you're in. So they all tend to be different. But yeah, so it's an interesting concept. Most No Chinese food delivery. Yeah, I have to tell you, a lot of people do get Chinese food. Speaking of which, I had a very interesting problem the other day. I had a pickup at McDonald's. I don't like the way McDonald's runs their delivery service, at least here. They go by code numbers rather than the person's name. Any other place I go to, I tell them I have a pickup for whoever the person is, and they will give it to me. You have to give them the code. So I had two pickups, and I give this girl the two codes, walking away, and I said to her, how are you going to remember both of those? She immediately came back to me with two big bags of food. Place was very crowded, by the way. Just getting in and out of there was a nightmare. I went to make the first delivery. It was probably 2 to 3 miles away from the restaurant, from the McDonald's. And I get to the place and I open my trunk and I take a look at both bags. Neither one of them is her number. Neither one of them has her name. She's standing at the door with a little girl, anxiously waiting for the food, no doubt, and there's no food. I was so aggravated, and I had to ultimately go back to McDonald's, pray that they still had the right food, return the wrong food, which they're not even supposed to take back, but it's in a sealed bag, and clearly you could see if it had been opened, and it wasn't. And pick up the right food. And by then, the second person was upset because where was I? And I had to explain the whole situation. So it was, there's a lot to deal with in addition to the normal things that can happen or go wrong when you're doing this kind of thing. But it's really been fine. I cannot do anywhere near the volume of work that I used to do. I have to be really careful. I try not to go a huge distance. I've turned down some really good things because I couldn't go distance. And and but I'm trying to make it work in the best way that I can. So that is my story. And once again, is there anything special that anybody wants to talk about? Because if you do, let's chat about it. And if you don't at this moment, I think I'm going to once again just make it a little bit shorter because I have not eaten yet and I'm suddenly feeling like I really need to eat something and I am tired. I spend every night after whatever the day brings, and the days have been bringing a lot of stuff. Oh, before I let everybody go, would you have any interest in my kind of taking you around with me as I'm going through room by room with what I'm doing to get it ready or how I'm getting it to try to make it look as I get closer, hopefully, to putting the house on the market. So if you think there would be any interest in that type of thing, I will do it. If not, then I will keep it to myself and just do the work. So you're going to have to let me know. I also tried to do the grooming on Ruby, and I thought it was going to be so easy. It was not. Yeah, I thought it might be a little bit interesting for people. I certainly can show you what I know to be the right way to go, even though I don't necessarily do it for myself. But when I tried to do the grooming for Ruby, she was really antsy. I did get her bathed, though I need to bathe her again, and I've got to get some of her shampoo. But when I went to try to comb her and trim her, it was really, really difficult. She was very antsy. I was very antsy that day, so I decided to put it off. But I am going to finish that one soon. At least I did manage to do a little trim between her eyes so she can see and you can see her eyes. So that part of it was a plus. But yeah, so I'm going to work on all that stuff. I'm going to do the cucumber salad tomorrow, and I'll video that in case anybody wants to take a look at it, and we'll see if it comes out well. If it does or it doesn't, you'll know the truth. So, okay, yeah, I think that would be a good idea to do. Okay, so forgive me for kind of I really would like to stick around for at least an hour, but I'm tired. It's getting harder and harder for me to do all that I do every single day, but I'm doing my best to do it. So I'm so glad that you all joined me. I'm really happy that we're able to make this work on whatever level that it does work. And I think, yeah, I do need to eat something. I'm starting to feel a little bit shaky, and that's probably not a great idea. So I think I'm going to make my sweet potato fries. I have to tell you, that is a really quick, wonderful thing for me. Within 15 to 20 minutes, I have a full serving of sweet potato fries that I absolutely love. They're delicious, and I think they're good for me, so I'm going to do that. All right, take care and have a good rest of the night, and I'll see you very soon. Talk to you. Bye-bye.